Most candle makers stop blending backwards. They grab two fragrance oils that smell really good together, maybe three. They mix them up and they hope something magical happens. Sometimes it works. Most of the time it doesn't, because they skipped the most important step. They never decided what they were trying to create. So before I smell a single fragrance oil, I already know what I'm building, right? Am I creating a bakery scent, a luxury scent, something atmospheric, something fresh, something dark, something nostalgic? Because until I know the destination, I have no idea what role each fragrance oil needs to play. And that's the secret. When I evaluate a fragrance oil, I'm not asking what notes are in this. I'm asking what job could this do? Because fragrance oils don't have fixed jobs, they have tendencies. And my job is figuring out which tendency best serves the blend I'm trying to create. So if you're unsure how to identify a fragrance oil's role in your blend, keep watching. Hey everybody, it's Kerry. I'm the founder of Couture Home and Body. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you haven't seen my fragrance oil blending framework, check that out first, because then this video will make way more sense. So watch that first, then come back here and join us for this one. This video is going to help you identify what role each oil is playing in the blend that you want to create. And I do want to say at the top here, in that video I shared my framework of how I approach blending. Now for all the examples I used 3 oils, but you don't have to use 3, you can use 2. A lot of oils will play a dual role of atmosphere and modifier. So there's no hot and fast rule, and if you're going to use 4 oils, just make sure you understand what they're contributing to your blend. So let's just get right into it. All right, stop looking at note lists. This is probably the first mindset shift. Most folks look at a fragrance description like ingredients. Vanilla, amber, musk, sandalwood, patchouli, and they assume that's enough information, but 2 fragrance oils can contain vanilla, amber, musk, and perform completely different. So one might feel like airy and sophisticated, and another might feel heavy and gourmand. And then a third one could feel cozy and atmospheric. So same notes, but completely different behavior. So when I evaluate a fragrance oil, I stop asking what's in it, and I start asking, well, what is it doing? Because fragrance oils are much more than their note lists. All right, let's talk about the red and pink problem. This is where blending usually goes wrong. Let's say I have a beautiful red fragrance oil. Then I add pink. Do they work together? Sure. But what did we create? Well, we created pink red, red pink. Basically the same thing. So nothing interesting happened. And a lot of blends are built this way. Pumpkin plus, well, more pumpkin. Vanilla plus more vanilla. Amber plus, well, more amber. You're reinforcing the same idea and you're not creating complexity. Instead, think about blue and yellow. Neither one looks anything like green, but together they create something completely new. And that's what I'm looking for when I blend. I'm not looking for reinforcement. I'm looking for transformation, because if all we're doing is making red redder and pink pinker, we're probably not creating complexity. We're just creating more of the same. I want green. Every fragrance oil gets put through the same series of questions, not because the answers are always the same, but because the questions force me to think beyond the note list. So the first question I ask is, what is this fragrance about? Not what's in it, what's it about? So I'll give you some examples. Santal and coconut. I love that one. This fragrance is about creamy woods, sandalwood. It's luxury, softness. For me, that's an identity candidate. So we're evaluating the entire composition, not individual notes. Caramel pumpkin pie. This fragrance is about bakery, comfort, fall. To me, that's also an identity fragrance. New York at Night is actually a great example of why roles aren't fixed. This fragrance is about black tea, sophistication, and atmosphere. So on its own, I would absolutely consider it an identity candidate because it has a clear point of view. But I've also used it as a modifier. So if I blend it with something brighter, more dominant, suddenly New York at Night isn't carrying the story anymore. Instead, it's adding sophistication, mood, contrast. Same fragrance oil, completely different role. Which is why, after asking what a fragrance is about, I always come back to, what am I trying to create? So identity oils have a clear point of view. They know exactly what they want to be. And you'll notice I keep saying candidate because I'm not assigning a permanent role, right? I'm evaluating possibilities. Most of the time, fragrances with a strong point of view become identity oils. They're usually the largest percentage of the blend because they're carrying the story. So if the fragrance is about pumpkin pie probably isn't 10% of the blend, right? It's often going to be 60, 70, even 80%. So the supporting oils are there to help tell the story, not replace it. But even then, role always comes back to what you're trying to create. The same oil can move from identity to modifier depending upon the blend. And so this is where I think people often get stuck. They think they're trying to figure out what category the oil belongs in. And that's not actually the goal. The goal is understanding what jobs the oil is capable of doing. Because the role doesn't live inside the bottle, right? The role comes from the blend that you're building. Does this fragrance create contrast? This is where blending starts getting interesting because contrast creates tension and tension creates complexity. So I'll give you some examples. Palo Santo Patchouli, what does it contribute? Dryness, a little smoke, earthiness, atmosphere. It's often not the main character, but it changes everything around it. Let's talk about Sacred Saffron. What does it contribute? Warmth, texture, richness. Again, not always the main character, but it does create contrast. And contrast is often what a blend is missing. So modifier oils aren't often where sophistication comes from. This is where a lot of luxury blends are made. So not in the identity, they're in the modifier. And they're usually used at smaller percentages because they're changing the experience rather than carrying the story. They're adding texture, contrast, dimension. They're not trying to become the loudest thing in the room. All right, the third question I ask is, does this fragrance create space? This is the question most candle makers never ask because space doesn't have a smell, at least not in the obvious sense, right? But it absolutely changes how a blend feels. So Winter Musk from Sensory, what's it doing? Softness, diffusion, air, distance. Cashmere Vanilla, softness, warmth, atmosphere. White Tea and Thyme, openness, freshness, breathing room. These fragrances often aren't the star, but they create the environment where the star can shine. So atmosphere oils are often used at lower percentages as well. Their job isn't to grab your attention. Their job is to shape how the blend feels. They're creating air around the fragrance, space around the fragrance, context around the fragrance. And sometimes that's the difference between a candle smelling good and a candle feeling complete. This is probably the biggest mindset shift in the entire video. So I want you to stop asking, what smells good with this? And start asking, what does this need? Huge difference. Let's use Caramel Pumpkin Pie again from Peach State. Most people immediately will reach for more vanilla, caramel, sugar cookie, marshmallow. And listen, those oils will probably smell good together, but we're just making red redder. We're reinforcing the same idea. We're not creating any contrast. So instead, I want you to ask, what is this missing? Maybe it needs dryness, smoke, woods, saffron, air. Now we're creating contrast. Now we're creating dimension. Now we're building something that feels intentional. All right, we are now going to do an exercise together. I want you to grab 5 oils, just random, just blind pick 5 oils. I had Pete pick these for me, so I'm just going to look at them for the first time. Oh, okay. That's so funny. Okay. 5 random oils, okay? We are going to break them down, and I'm going to tell you where I think these oils fall in terms of identity, modifier, or atmosphere. And I want you to do the same thing. Grab your fragrance blotter strip so you can put the oil on the strip, and then let's talk about where these all live. So I have 5 here, you have 5 there. Don't overthink it, just pull 5 random. Now I want you to ask, what is this fragrance about? What role does it naturally want to play? Is it identity, modifier, atmosphere? Can it do multiple jobs? All right, the first random oil, play with me, is Havana from the Wander Lab Co. This one is super easy. You say it first. All right, we'll say it at the same time. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Identity. Right. What is it about? Oh, God. It is rummy, tobacco, lounge atmosphere. There's some character in here as well. Havana knows exactly what it wants to be. It knows who it is. This fragrance has a point of view. Oh, gosh. This is so good. All right. Oh, this is exciting. This is a new one to me. This is Sugarcane Suede from Scented Flame. They included this with my last order. So appreciative of that. Grab your next oil. Let's take a sniff. Okay, for me, Sugarcane Suede. This is a great modifier. So what is it about? It has texture, but softness. It's warm, it's sophisticated. This is the kind of fragrance that changes another fragrance. It's going to add polish, texture, refinement. It's not the story, right? It's the modifier. I can't stop smelling that. Oh, it's good. It's good. That is good. All right, grab your third oil. Okay, this is Winter Musk from Sensory. What is this about? It is airy. It is soft. It is diffusive. It's adding space. Nothing in my collection illustrates atmosphere better than I think Winter Musk. I come back to this a lot. This is an atmosphere oil. This isn't usually what the fragrance is about. It's what the fragrance feels like. It's a perfect atmosphere example. Atmosphere, I can't speak. Oh, okay, this is a good one. This is Maple Chai and Sweet Cream from Makesy. Okay, this is an interesting one. When you smell this, it has a very clear point of view. For me, it's about comfort and warm spices, creaminess, a little bit of a cozy cafe vibe. It knows what it wants to be, which is identity, right? But let's say I'm building an autumn fragrance, right? And my identity is something bigger than this. Maybe it's an orchard fragrance, or maybe it's an outdoor fall market. Maybe it's an apple forward fragrance. Suddenly, now, Maple Chai and Sweet Cream, it's not carrying the story anymore. Now it's contributing warmth. There's some spice and creaminess, comfort. It's supporting the identity instead of being the identity. The fragrance didn't change. My intention changed. And when my intention changed, the role changed. If Maple Chai and Sweet Cream is 80% of the blend, it's probably the story. If it's 15% of the blend, it might just be adding texture, right? Same fragrance, different job. So for me, Maple Chai and Sweet Cream is a fence sitter. It can be both identity or modifier. And it's great to have those dual purpose oils when you're thinking about fragrance blending and how you approach fragrance blending. These are the killer tools to have in your back pocket. These fragrance oils. The percentage affects its perceived role, usually, most of the time, because a fragrance that would be an identity at 80%, right, can absolutely become a modifier at 15%. And that is exactly the kind of nuance that advanced blenders understand. Depending upon what you're putting with it, it changes its role. The role ultimately depends on what you're trying to create, and it has to start there. That's a good one. That's a good one. This next one is White Sage and Lavender from Candle Science. This is a great example also of a fence sitter. This lives like right on the line between modifier and atmosphere. What is this fragrance oil about? Oh, she's potent. Is it really the story, or is it creating a feeling? What is it contributing? For me, it's contributing air and calmness, freshness, openness, space. Now, some people will call this a modifier, but you could also argue it's an atmosphere, because what it's really creating for me is feeling. It's creating like breathing room. It's creating air around the fragrance, and it's helping to shape the environment more than it's changing the story. And I think that's an important differentiator when thinking about atmosphere. Honestly, I don't think there's a wrong answer here, because depending upon the blend, I could use it as a mod or an atmosphere. Because here's the thing. This is why, again, I keep saying roles are interpretations. There are no hard and fast rules here. And this is just one way to approach and think about blending. It's not the way. It's simply one way. It's a way that it is working for me. So if I'm using White Sage and Lavender to soften and brighten a darker fragrance, it might function more as a modifier. Same fragrance, different intention, different role. And notice how we're not talking about the note list, right? We're not talking about all the different fragrance notes that are in the oil. We're talking about behavior. We're talking about function. And we're talking about what the fragrance is doing. And this is where artistry comes in. The most advanced blenders understand something important. There are no right answers. Only useful interpretations, right? Fragrance oils don't have fixed roles. They have tendencies. So vanilla is usually a modifier until vanilla becomes the story. Winter musk is usually atmosphere until winter musk becomes the concept. Palo Santo Patchouli is often support until you build an entire fragrance around it. So the role depends on what you're trying to create, not what the supplier called it, right? Here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick 5 fragrance oils. Don't blend them. Don't make candles. Don't make anything, right? Just sit and smell them. Let them dry down on the strip. And then just talk through, what is this fragrance about? Is it identity, modifier, atmosphere? Can it do more than one job? Train your nose to recognize the roles before you ever stop blending. Because once you can identify roles, creating blends becomes dramatically easier. Promise, I promise. Fragrance oils don't come with job descriptions, right? They don't tell you, use me as an identity, use me as a modifier, use me as the atmosphere. That's your job. That's your interpretation. And that is your artistry. And that's why 10 candle makers can buy the exact same fragrance oil and create 10 completely different blends. The difference isn't the oil, it's how they see it. Because the goal was never to memorize fragrance oils or notes. The goal is to learn how to see them. Anyone can read a note list, right? A blender learns to see the possibilities hiding behind it. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're not, it really helps me out. And if you want to further support what I do on this channel, consider joining the Members Studio. I'll have everything linked down below. Everything you do contributes to the growth and success of my channel. I so appreciate you spending a little bit of time in your day or night to hang out with me and talk and learn all about blending. Until the next one, y'all. I'll see you then. Bye.